Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, EM calls the police on me for stealing her daughter, who is my girlfriend, and an adult. The evil pacifier that targeted my toddler, and the mother who didn't bat an eye at her children who were chucking and hurling it across the room at top speeds. Lady blamed her son's behavior on me because I don't work holidays. Update. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM calls the police on me for stealing her daughter, who is my girlfriend, and an adult. Background. This happened about 5 years ago. My fiancé and I have been together 7 years this month. We're hoping to get married this year but might postpone due to the circumstances. We were reminiscing some old stories yesterday when this one came up, and she suggested I share it. She was my girlfriend at the time, and at the time I was fully aware that her mom was a few fries short of a happy meal, but this was the pinnacle of her behavior. If you guys enjoy this story, I actually have a few more I shall share if you like. Sorry for the length, but I hope you guys enjoy it. FYI, there is a happy ending. Cast: EM, entitled Mom, my future mother-in-law. Girlfriend, Ellie. PO, police officer. OP, obviously. Story. Ellie and I weren't living together at the time, she just stayed over from time to time when she could. I took her home after she had been staying with me a couple days and was heading to work. But shortly after, just before getting to work, I get a phone call from her and I can tell she is in tears. Apparently when she got inside, EM immediately blew up on her about being gone for so long, even though it was only 2 days, and she told EM she was going to be gone and kept in contact with her while she was gone. But Ellie just sorta brushed it off and went to her room. EM's house was pretty much your stereotypical crazy cat lady house. House badly decaying, cats all over the place, going to the bathroom in random places and whatnot. And when Ellie gets to her room, she realizes while she was gone, the cats pissed and shit all over a pile of her clean clothes. But whatever, Ellie decided to just bag them up and she would wash them next time she came to my place. Her mom didn't have a functioning washer at the time, and apparently, that really set EM off. EM apparently thought Ellie was bagging her clothes because she was planning to go back to my place that night, stay another few days. So she stomped into her room, grabbed the bag, ripped it open, and flung the clothes all over the room along with the cat shit and piss while screaming at Ellie that she's not going anywhere. That's when Ellie ran outside and called me. She was so upset and didn't know what to do. Her mom had been doing crazy stuff to Ellie since I'd been with her, but up until I just helped her however I could while not getting involved and not saying a word to her mom. I told her to go ahead and get the things she needs, and I'll take her to my place. She said she would love that. I told my work I was gonna be late due to an emergency, and turned around to go pick her up. When I pulled back up to the house, Ellie was in the driveway crying. I went and hugged her, told her it was gonna be okay and that she could stay with me as long as she wanted. So she went back inside to get her things. As I was standing outside waiting, I heard the door open again and went to help Ellie with her things. Oh, it's her mom. EM comes stomping out with her hair crazy and frizzled, and an old nightgown. She beelines for me and gets right in my face. EM, with an extremely thick high-pitched southern accent, my daughter said I need to come out her and ask what you think of me. I knew that was a blatant lie as Ellie would never instigate this. You got something to say? Huh? You think I'm trash, don't you, huh? That's what you think, isn't it? Again, up until now, I'd completely kept my mouth shut and was trying to maintain that. But this woman was up in my face, freaking out, and was tormenting the woman I loved, so I finally looked at her and broke my silence. Opie, why do you treat her like this? Gasp, what do you mean? That's my daughter and I worship the ground she walks on. OP, oh really? So insulting her is worship? Yes, I've heard her say this with my own ears. Gasp, I would never say anything like that. OP, getting rather irate, bullshit. I've heard you say it. M, explosion, you get your off my property. Okay, I almost never find myself in situations like this, so I'm not used to it. I say that because after she said this, I pretty much saw red. I'm not proud of it, but I just started shouting every curse word in the book I could possibly think of at the top of my lungs while she went back in the house. But thankfully, that only lasted a few seconds and I immediately calmed down. So finally Ellie comes back out with her stuff, we put it in the car and I assume it's over. But Ellie turns to me and says, "Ellie, I'm sorry, but we can't leave yet." OP, why not? Ellie, Mom called the cops. I sorta had a feeling that would happen, no big deal. So we just sat and waited for the cop to arrive. After about 10 minutes or so, a cop car pulls up. Right when he does, EM comes out of the house, and oh my god. Yes, she was doing exactly what you think. She instantly puts on the fragile, brittle old lady act. Hunched over, walking slowly, the whole gig. And of course, when PO asks her what happened, she has to pitch her entire medical chart to the guy. Ellie will tell you this woman has been terminally ill for 12 years lol. So when she finally gets done trying to milk this poor guy for sympathy, she tells her version of what happened. EM, sir, he came onto my property and verbally attacked me. He's awful to me, sir, and I've never even done anything to him. He's turned my daughter against me and is trying to convince her to leave. At first, he seems somewhat sympathetic to her, until he turns to Ellie. PO, ma'am, this is your boyfriend? Ellie, yes, sir. PO, okay, and how old are you? Ellie, sir, I'm 23. This was my favorite part because the officer looked up from his notepad with a look of wait, what? Obviously he was thinking Ellie was a minor or something based off of how EM was acting, but quickly realized just what he was dealing with. Eventually he turns to me. PO, okay sir, please give me your version of what happened. I did so. Funny side note, at one point PO looks up at me and says, PO, you look really familiar, do I know you? It actually turned out the PO and I had gone to high school together. Once we recognized each other, we laughed and shook hands, and very briefly. This was hilarious because out of the corner of my eye, I see EM has a big scowl on her face as she sees me getting friendly with PO. But anyway, PO puts his notepad away and turns to me. Just FYI, he says the following with this heavy tone of, I know that you are fully aware of this and don't believe you are in the wrong at all, but I have to say this as a formality. PO, well OP, she doesn't want you on the property, so be aware that if you come back here you technically can be charged with trespassing. Do you understand this as I've explained it? OP, absolutely sir. EM, but sir, I want to press charges. PO, he didn't do anything illegal ma'am. EM, but he verbally assaulted me. PO, I understand that, and while that was ill-advised, he slightly turns to me and gives me a small gesture with his hand, and I nod in agreement. It's not something I could arrest him for. He agrees he will not come back on your property without your direct permission. EM, ugh. Okay fine whatever. Ellie, come back inside. Ellie, what? No. EM, you heard PO. OP is leaving and you're staying here. PO, whoa, ma'am, I didn't say that at all. M, but, BU. PO, your daughter is not a child ma'am, she is a full-grown adult, she has every right to go wherever she wants. EM, I'm her mother. She lives under my roof. I told her she needs to stay here so she needs to stay. PO, no ma'am, that's not how it works. If she wants to go stay with her boyfriend, there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop her. EM starts the fake crocodile tears and stomps in the house in defeat. Ellie and I thanked the officer, got in the car and left. We've been living together ever since. Happy ending. Believe it or not, EM isn't really much of an EM anymore. Over the years since that day, EM has actually decided to make an effort to try and improve herself. I guess she realized that if she didn't make changes, she would lose her relationship with Ellie. So EM started taking advantage of her medical coverage and went to see her psychiatrist and got medicine for mental illness she actually had, as opposed to the one she would make up. Since then, well, she has actually gotten way better. She takes her medicine regularly and has a boyfriend that is an extremely kind man and treats Ellie as though she were his own daughter. So basically, EM isn't really an EM anymore. We actually get along very well and we see them frequently, and we help each other out whenever we can. We actually look back on the early years when she was in fact an EM and laugh. So not only is everybody getting along well, we can actually share the cringe stories and happily laugh about them. If you guys would like to hear some more, let me know. Edit. Oh my god. Thank all of you guys so much for your upvotes, awards, kind wishes and positive support. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this so much. I am absolutely blown away by your responses. And so is Ellie. We greatly appreciate it all. A lot of you have said you would like to hear more, so either tonight or tomorrow I'll post another story that we call the jellyfish story, and I'll put Ellie's mom part 2 in the title. Thank you guys again from the both of us. It's very refreshing to read one of these that has a happy ending. It's also good to hear that you and Ellie are still together. I'm glad the EM got help and that she changed her ways, too. Overall super happy after this story. Thanks for sharing it, OP. Thank you so much. And you're welcome. Like I said, I've got a couple more stories that I might share later. They are much shorter and more lighthearted, honestly, lol. What a nice happy ending, even though you had to deal with an EM in the past, but this shows that not everything has to end up being a sad ending. Definitely. It actually restored a lot of faith in humanity. I give a lot of credit to her boyfriend especially. I seriously can't even begin to say what a great man he has been, especially to Ellie. Her relationship with her mother over time made a complete 180, it's a borderline miracle in my opinion. But I think it just goes to show that good things can happen, and people can change in ways that you least expect. An EM becoming a non-EM is one of the rarest things ever, man. You should consider yourself lucky. An EM having a true mental illness that can be treated is perhaps more common than we think. So glad yours has gotten the help she needed. The evil pacifier that targeted my toddler, and the mother who didn't bat an eye at her children who were chucking and hurling it across the room at top speeds. I was at a church service the other day with some friends, my wife, and my 14-month-old son. After the service, these two siblings, one looked to be about 2, and the other was maybe May 6th, were running around the lobby, throwing this kid's pacifier with a clip up in the air and playing catch with it. The pacifier was launched about 30 feet up in the air and about 10 feet, probably farther, that's just a guess, across the room every time. One more forceful throw sent the pacifier hurtling across the lobby, flying through the air and landing at my feet, so I picked it up and brought it over to their mom, who was sitting on a couch looking at her phone, not paying attention to her 2 children. I went over to her and told her your kids were throwing this, just thought you should know, in a very kind, casual way, and laughed. I thought that maybe she didn't know what her kids were doing. She gave me the most thinly veiled, dirtiest look I've ever received. Okay. That's fine, she said, and sighed profusely. I walked away and went on to mind my own business. 15 minutes later, my wife handed me our son so he could play with some toys in the lobby. He started to walk around a little, so I followed him, and that's when I saw these 2 kids throwing the pacifier again, their mom still looking at her phone in the same place as before. The pacifier was hurled across the entire lobby again before my very eyes. My eyes widened as I realized it was a projectile coming for my precious offspring. Before I could even process what was going on, it came catapulting towards my toddler's head. Before I was able to even lift a finger to catch it, it precisely hit its target. My eyes widened. The metal clip part had struck my son in the back of the head. His eyes started to well up, until the inevitable scream cry came pouring out at the top of his lungs. I picked him up to comfort him. I grabbed the pacifier off the floor, walked towards the mother, and calmly told her, "This hit my kid in the head, just wanted to let you know so that no one gets hurt," I said awkwardly, with my crying child in my other arm. She gave me the dirtiest of all looks again. She raised an eyebrow and gave me that "what the hell" look, if you know what I mean. She said nothing else, got up, grabbed her kids and stomped out the door with a very angry, unpleasant look on her face. No clue where she went after that. Weirdest experience of my life involving my child. He still has a mark on the back of his head. After it hit my kid, I would have gotten the mother's attention and while holding eye contact forcibly thrown it into the garbage. With not a word said. Just continuing to soothe my injured son. If she had said anything I'd have said, "I told you someone could be hurt," and I'd leave. Yeah, I think Opie was a bit passive there. I too would have kept/trashed it, but I'd have told the mother what I was doing and why. My worry is, this neglect and bad attitude is something those kids are already used to. Wish people who decide to have kids could actually love them. That pacifier would have been mine after it hit my kid. Into my pocket it goes and later, into the trash. Maybe it was time for the pacifier to end up in the trash? Lady blamed her son's behavior on me because I don't work holidays. Update. Wow, only been a day and the replies have been amazing. Thank you. This may be shorter than the previous post, but I've taken what some have said into consideration. She eventually messaged me asking if, due to the argument, I wouldn't reach her son. I said this. Listen, I'm really sorry if you feel I've been a bad influence, but also your son is going through a time in his life where he may be a bit lost. I love teaching him, he's a bright young lad, but yes, I'd also appreciate it if you respected the boundaries I set. If anything I've said has genuinely upset you, please let me know. I appreciate all criticism. Me and your son can still continue lessons. Her reply was downright biblical. Yes, I'm very sorry for losing my temper, I didn't mean to. Hope everything's well, and yes, I'd love you to keep teaching him. Apologies for any stress caused. You should buy a lottery ticket. I've never seen a customer apologize, lol. I feel like I won something, but where's my grand prize? Ah, nice ending. Sounds like she had been having a bad day and went sideways on you. I'm glad DHE apologized. She's a lawyer, like you said, she knows when she doesn't have the upper hand and it's time to settle. The son probably went crazy on her when he thought he would have to quit. Man. I hope he's that enthusiastic LMAO. Hey Opie, I know this is off topic, but as a fellow music teacher, I really think you should value your time and skills more. It's so nice that you charge on a sliding scale, but realistically £20 is the bottom end of a reasonable amount for teaching an instrument. It's skilled work. Maybe have a look at the Musicians Union website for an idea of what other teachers charge, and please don't take this the wrong way. I just think you should be getting more out of it. If you